Hi there, I'm Sue Resig and I'm trying a new recipe tonight. So we're all going to be guinea pigs at the same time. But Chris and I went out last night when what was served was a rosemary braised potato, and it was really good. It was nice for something different, and I thought, well, I can do that. So we're going to have rosemary braised potatoes tonight. Of course, we're going to do it without oil, salt, or pepper, but you know, we have ways to work around that. So my pan is already warm and ready to go, and I've got my onion partially sliced up. I'm going to finish slicing it. I tried to make a few shortcuts before we got started. There. And that was just a half of an onion, half of a good sized onion. It would probably be a whole small onion. And then I've got 2 cloves of garlic, and these are nice big cloves. I think they'll add some nice flavor. And I like to smash them before I cut them up. I put a big blade on the side, like that. And what that does is it flattens it out and it makes it easier to hold it in place while you're cutting it. I already had the wrappers off. If I hadn't taken, the little papers, you can smash them with the papers on it. It takes the papers off easier too. So I'm just, my usual, go one way, then I turn them and cut through the other way. Watching out for your fingers. I do a lot better at not cutting my fingers anymore. And I'm just dry sauteing these to get them started. If they were sticking, I would add just a little bit of the Hippocrates soup. Now, if you're new to my recipes, you may not be familiar with Hippocrates soup. Hippocrates soup is the name of a soup that Dr. Gerson, a doctor who started actually in the early 1900s, healing cancer using food. Hippocrates soup is a recipe of soup that he used that helps support and heal the kidneys. And it's the first recipe I ever did online 3 years ago before I got started doing this. I didn't know that first recipe was going to be turning into making recipes all the time. But, it helps us all. It keeps me on my toes looking for new recipes. And it helps you to have something different to eat so you don't get bored trying to eat healthy. So good. Okay, so they're they're still firm, but they've gotten started cooking. And so I'm going to add my garlic now. I don't like to add the garlic right away because it cooks more quickly and I don't want my garlic to brown, okay? And not only am I going to put the garlic in there, but I'm also going to put the spices in. In Indian cooking, which this is not, but in Indian cooking, they add the spices at the beginning and saute them, and it helps bring out more of the flavor. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary, the dried rosemary leaves. And I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of what I call my butter blend. This is my original combination of spices and herbs that just add a nice savoriness to cooking. And I especially like it in potatoes. The recipe for this, I can tell you very quickly, is 2 teaspoons of onion powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground thyme, okay? And then that makes a little bowl full, and then I just measure out what I want for a recipe, okay? And I'm using a 1/4 teaspoon of my butter blend. And I'm going to sprinkle that in there and stir it around and get my onions through it, get the garlic through it, let it spread around on the pan. Getting a little toasty. I can smell it. That's a good sign. I can smell the rosemary. I can smell the garlic. And cooking's fun because not only do you do it by sight, you do it by time, you do it by smell, and you do it by sound. I find myself listening while I'm cooking because you could be doing something else and then you hear something sounds different and it's like, okay, it's shifted gears. It needs more liquid or it needs turning. Whatever. You can tell by the way the sounds change. I enjoy all those different parts of cooking. All right, that's looking good. I'm going to show you what it looks like. See? And I don't want my pan to get blackened on the bottom. So I'm going to add a little bit of my Hippocrates soup. So, back to the Hippocrates. So if you want to know how to make that, I have, you do a search for me. It's you could do, just put in Hippo, Sue Resig, Hippo, Hippo, and that's short for Hippocrates. And I bet it brings it up. It's my first recipe. Oh, and I should tell you something. I do have a website. It's going to be changing in the near future, but at least it gives you, right now, you can see a choice of all my videos. And it's my name, SueResig.com. So it's SueResig.com. You go there and you can see all my videos. Now what I have are 2 pounds of chunked potatoes. And I'm going to show you how I chunked those because I saved one bag to show you. These are just nice little potatoes. Look at, they just fit in the palm of my hand. They're bigger than an egg, but they're smaller than an apple. And I used 2 pounds of these size potatoes. That's what came in my bag. There were some big ones in there, but I saved those for the half-baked potatoes. And I'm cutting it in quarters lengthwise. See, it's quarters lengthwise. And then I'm going to come back and do 3 cuts going the other way. And the only reason why I'm showing you this is because it's good to have them all the same consistent size, because we want them all to get done cooking at the same time. So you don't want all goofy big and little ones, okay? And I'm going to stir that up a little bit with my potatoes so they all get a little bit of the herbs on there. That looks tasty. And you know what? Well, I think I might want a little more rosemary. I don't know. You know what? Let's try it just the way it is and see how it turns out. I can always add more later. And I'm going to add a total of 2 cups of Hippocrates soup. So the little bit I put in was part of my 2 cups. And we're going to let that come up to a boil and then turn it down to simmer. And when it's simmering, now this is the interesting thing. The difference between braising and simmering is braising is with the lid off and simmering is with the lid on. Okay, so braise it. We're going to braise it with the lid off. It's kind of like making risotto. You want the liquid to start evaporating. And the benefit of having your liquid, and in this case it's going to be our Hippocrates soup, is that it concentrates the flavors. So it should make it taste extra good by the time we're done. Is that Hippocrates soup is going to concentrate, and the herbs and spices that we put in there are going to get more flavor and add more richness to our potatoes. So we'll come back to this, okay? I'll show you what it looks like while it's cooking. It takes so long to come to a boil. I did put the lid on to get it to come to a boil. Now I'm going to take it off. I'm going to turn my temperature down a little bit. High medium, okay, medium high, and get it so that it's still cooking but not cooking hard, okay? And I'm guessing it's going to take at least 30 minutes, okay? Typically, if it was a whole potato but being boiled, it would take 25 to 30 minutes, but because these are chunked up, hopefully it'll take less time, but we're cooking them more slowly. Actually, Dr. Gerson, I think, would really approve of this because they're going to be cooking more slowly, in essence. And every so often, I will come along and give them a stir just to make sure the top ones get to the bottom and so forth. Now, the liquid is going to start going down, and I will report in as to whether or not I need to put more liquid in. But supposedly, I shouldn't have to. Supposedly, it'll just keep going. And I don't know if I'm going to want to tilt my lid. I don't know if I'm going to want to do that. I will have to report in. I told you, we're learning together on this one, okay? Well, we'll see what happens. Okay. All right, the potatoes, I ended up turning them down a little bit more. And then when all the liquid was boiled away, simmered away, I should say, I just put the lid on and turned the burner off so that they could kind of finish up. And they've been sitting there about 10 minutes until I came back. I was doing some other stuff. And they look great. Look at that pretty rich color that they have. Kind of a part of the, I guess it looks more golden here than it really does on the camera. Let me go over here under a different light. There, you can see they're not really that golden brown, but they do have a nice color. And I did steal a bite. It was very tasty. Has a nice, nice rich flavor. And you can see, oh yeah, oh, they're tender. They are tender. All right, hang on, I'll turn you around. Oh, they're delicious. And it's okay that I didn't put more rosemary in. It's okay. I think it turned out just right. A 1/4 teaspoon rosemary, 1/4 teaspoon butter blend, 2 garlic cloves, half an onion, 2 cups of Hippocrates, and 2 pounds of potatoes. You can do this. Oh man, they're good. Okay, it's our dinner time, so I'm going to scoop. I'll put the directions down below. All right, have a good night.